August 15th, 2022 meeting of the Dalton City Council meeting to order. Mr. Mock will lead us in the pledge. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Terry, tell me which order of the approval of the agenda is here. Do we approve the agenda, then we need the unanimous consent?
Mr. Mayor, you can do it in that order. You can approve the agenda and then
Or are there any additions, corrections, deletions? Motion by Ms. Sams, and a second by Mr. Mock. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Next is we need a vote on the consent to untable this old business that's on the agenda at item number 4. So moved. Second by Ms. Sams. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. All right, number 1, Constitution Week, a proclamation. If Dale Bailey and Catherine Sellers will meet me down front. Sue. Y'all are quick. We're a month ahead of this.
That's right.
This is Constitution Week, September 17th through the 23rd of 2022. Whereas September 17th, 2022 marks the 235th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. Whereas every anniversary of the Constitution provides an historic opportunity for all Americans to learn about and to reflect upon the rights and privileges of citizenship and its responsibilities. Whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary and to the patriotic celebrations which we will commemorate it. Whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th to the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now therefore be it resolved, I, David Pennington, Mayor of the City of Dalton, Georgia, hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd, 2022 as Constitution Week, and urge all our citizens to study the Constitution and reflect on the privilege of being an American with all the rights and responsibility which that privilege involves. Thank you, Dale, for what you do.
Thank you.
Come in and bring this up. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you very much. I would like to give a bookmark. Question about the Constitution Week of Constitution Day. We're going every 5th grade.
Wonderful.
That's 2,500 students.
Yep, that's
So
wonderful.
we've had them printed and we're ready to go. We're trying to do anything patriotic to help kids understand the value of our Constitution.
The value of being in America.
There you go. Exactly.
Minutes are before you on the August 1st, 2022 meeting. Additions, corrections, deletions. Motion by Ms. Sams, or a second. Second by Mr. Goodlett. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Next is the lost meeting on public hearing notes of August 5th, 2022. Any additions, corrections, deletions? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Sams, second by Mr. Farah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Under old business number 4, ordinance 22-22, the request of ECM to rezone from general commercial C2 to high density residential R7, a tract of land totaling 0.74 acres located at 501 North Hamilton Street, Dalton, Georgia, parcel 12-200-24-000. Ethan.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. We take a look at this rezoning. Y'all may recall this from a while back. Request was to go from general commercial to high density residential with the intent of redeveloping or remodeling this existing structure, commercial structure that's been vacant now for some time, into an apartment complex. And of course, that comes with challenges and some considerations, and the fact that high density residential obviously comes at some impact. When we analyze this property, look at the size of the property, the size of the building, the adjacent zone districts, and the parking availability being one of the key issues in regard to high density residential, we found that there's an excess of parking with no issues to be able to accommodate high density residential at this location based on the size of the existing structure and how many units could be created in it. And we found no issues in regard to traffic generation, parking, and really no conflict in zoning in terms of adjacent zone districts. There's zoning, residential zoning to the north and to the west. So this is a good transitional area for this type of zoning. And we were able to find no issues with the comprehensive plan. This is for a revitalization area in the comprehensive plan, which is intended to incentivize and promote reinvestment into properties that are vacant and or blighted. And of course, seeing a reinvestment at this location based on the presented application for the rezoning and the plan for the property seemed to fit in well with the comprehensive plan for this area. There were no opposition remarks at the public hearing. The Planning Commission recommendation was, I'm happy to answer any questions.
I have one that since it's going to create another island, is it because it's a residential backed up to a different residential? Is that why it was okay by the other ones?
It technically would be considered an island of R7 in that there aren't any other high density residential zone districts adjacent. But the medium density residential zone district to the west and to the north don't constitute a spot zone scenario, or really in this case, even an entering wedge. Because you're transitioning from that residential to commercial, and high density between commercial and that medium density is a pretty good blend in most cases.
Mayor, I would add, the city asked, based on the conversation at the council meeting when this agenda item was first heard, we made a request to the petitioner to on at least at a preliminary level of the R7. In addition to that, photos of the features within the property, those have now been supplied to the council as well as reviewed by the city fire marshal.
Questions? Your motion on this?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sam, second by Mr. Farah. What?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 5, new business resolution 22-09 to approve an agreement summary and loss distribution certificate between the city of Dalton and Woodfield County concerning the reallocation of local option sales tax revenue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. As required by Georgia local government revenue statutes, the cities and counties are required in Georgia to renegotiate the loss distribution every following the decennial census. Many of you were in attendance on the August 5th joint public meeting with the county and other cities to discuss the distribution. At that meeting, it was preliminarily agreed to maintain the distribution from 2021 and 2022 for the city of Dalton through the 2032. So over the next 10 years, there were a few other small changes that were attached to the city's approval of this 36%. One was that the county would agree to do a full rollback of the M&O tax rate, which Chairman Jensen has confirmed that there are 3 votes to do the full rollback. In addition to that, we are working with our county partners to streamline other services such as the senior center. The county has agreed as part of this deal to begin taking over the senior center operation January 1, 2023, which will allow us to mutually dissolve the jointly funded services special tax district. One other small change was that the county agreed to reduce the city's stormwater management soil erosion payment to them annually from $175,000 to $87,500. So there was a lot of work over the last 60 days to reach, and I understand that the county approved it at their Board of Commissioners meeting last Monday.
Any questions, of Andrew? Is there a motion? Motion by
Second.
Mr. Mockett, second by Mr. Goodlet. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Number six, resolution 22-10 of mayor and council to approve the bond resolution of the city of Dalton Building Authority authorizing the issuance of series 2022 revenue bonds for Dalton Public School System projects in the principal amount of $15,930,000 to authorize the execution of a contract between the city and the authority to authorize the mayor and other officers and officials of the city to take such further actions as necessary to provide for the issuance and delivery of the revenue bonds described herein and for other purposes.
Mr. Mayor, Jim Woodward with Gray Pennell and Woodward is bond counsel. And in the customary fashion, he's prepared the bond resolution before you tonight. Earlier this afternoon, the City of Dalton Board of Education approved their portion.
We had a work session this morning with no questions, and they'll be meeting right after this meeting to approve it, but no questions, and we look for that to be moved forward.
So I'll ask him to walk briefly the council through what the building authority heard in the previous hour. Thank you.
And the building authority just met 30 minutes prior to this meeting to adopt their bond resolution. But this is a structure we've done in the past for all the school district deals for the last four education SPOS transactions. Plus, it's a structure we use for the city deals in the past as well with their, sales tax and other transactions. But how it works is the building authority is an issuer of the bonds, revenue bonds. It's a limited obligation of the authority and it's secured solely by contract payments from the city to the authority. And so, but since this is for school projects, the school is created under the charter of the city. That's why the city is a party to the contract. So the city agrees to levy the education, 14 mills of education sales tax to pay the debt service on these bonds. And so it won't be secured by the city's millage rate or anything else. It's the school district's millage rate. But what's going to happen, there'll be a side agreement between the Board of Education and the city where the education sales tax dollars as they come in will be transferred to pay debt service on these bonds. That's what's the anticipation. And what they're doing is they're financing their SPOS projects that are just approved earlier this year now, and then as sales tax comes in, they'll use that to pay debt service. And so, so again, the bond resolution was approved by the building authority. You'll be approving a resolution. This is one motion to approve the resolution that approves the form of the authority's bond resolution, which has the final bond terms that the Davenport folks will discuss next. They'll approve the form of the intergovernmental contract between the development or the building authority and the city, and also approve the contract between the city and the Board of Education. Really, the Board of Education agrees to use their sales tax to pay for this, pay for these bonds. But that'll be a structure, one bond and one resolution for you guys. Motion to approve that, and then with that, they'll lock in the interest rates and allow us to close sometime mid-September. We're going to close. Any questions from that, I'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to Davenport.
This one, the sales tax going to the school system secures this bond.
That's right. It is, well, secured, technically it's secured by the full faith and credit of the school system, and using their 14 mills for educational,
First, the sales tax has to go to pay this bond.
Yep, all
And
right.
secondly, their general taxes has to
Exactly.
pay the bond.
Exactly.
And the city of Dalton government has no responsibility for this
Right.
whatever.
Exactly. So
Okay.
none of the city's funds or their millage, direct millage on the city side is placed for this. This is going to be the 14 mills of educational sales tax is the backup.
You know,
Could I ask a question? I'm just curious what percentage of their anticipated E-Splost are they financing up front? I'm just curious.
You have those numbers?
Ballpark. Was it 25%, 50%? I'm just trying to get a general idea of their anticipated E-Splost, what they're financing up front.
I think it's a pretty conservative number. The question is, it will be enough sales tax to cover it. And the
Years
answer
is,
And Andrew is,
how many?
it's 5-year financing.
5 years is
Yeah,
over
15
$100
million.
million. They're gonna get, they're gonna get 40 million, 45 million.
That's correct, Mr. Fair. I think it's somewhere, it's less than 50%. It'd be between 25 and maybe
They're financing, just
40
under.
I was
60
just curious.
40%.
But it was conservative to make sure there's enough sales tax to come in.
No questions?
I'm gonna recuse myself from this.
I think we have a presentation from the financial
Okay.
advisors as well.
Council and staff, thank you so much. My name is Ricardo Cornejo. That is my colleague Christopher Holt, who's giving you the hard copy. So we are financial advisors to the city of Dalton, also to the school system, and working with the building authority. As it's been stated by Mr. Woodward, on July 20th, we set out and distributed a request for proposal for a commercial loan to local, national, and regional banks. It was for the purpose of the Dalton School Systems project, the 2022 series bonds. It is a commercial loan, though we use the word bonds. On August 5th, we received 9 bids, which is a very, very good number. On the for what we're doing on the school project, it's basically acquisition and construction of different projects of their SPLOS. So with that, we're going to discuss, and my colleague here, Christopher Holt, will discuss the highlighted Zion proposal.
Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you guys for having us this evening. As you can see, if you flip to page 2, we've kind of given a summary of Zions Bank's proposal. You can see that they offered a 2.77% interest rate over 5 years. When we set out in this RFP on July 20th, we had a planning rate of 3%. So we came in below our initial planning rate. So that's great news for the school system. Their proposal also allowed for prepayment at any time without any penalty and no closing costs associated with the Series 22 bond. Flipping over to page 3, you'll see we've kind of given a semi-annual debt service structure of what the school system's repayment will be. As you can see, annually, they'll be paying just under $3.5 million a year. Then we've kind of broken out the sources and uses where the project fund will be $15.74 million, which will be used to pay the fund those eSPLOS payments, eSPLOS projects, and then the cost of issuance of $190,000, which is $70,000 lower than the initial cost of issuance budget in the Series 2018 bonds that was issued 4 years ago to show a comparison. So we're pleased to report that it's well below that budget 4 years ago. Flipping over to slide 4, you'll see that our recommendation and rationale of Zions Bank's proposal, they allowed for prepayment at any time prior to maturity without penalty. The interest rate was fixed between the proposal's due date and the adoption of the bond resolution. They offered no closing costs, and also the interest rate was fixed until final maturity. Finally, flipping over to page 5, we've kind of outlined the steps that have been taken and then will take in order to close successfully on the Series 22 bond. As Jim referenced, we got approval earlier today from the building authority, and we're seeking approval from the city on the city resolution right now to then have a final approval and shortly after this at the school board meeting at 6:30. If there's any other questions, thank you guys for having us.
Questions? Motion? Motion by Mr. Mock, second by Ms. Sounds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. No. Mr. Councilman Goodlett has recused himself. Now thank y'all. Now, number 7, intergovernmental contract between the City of Dalton and the City of Dalton Building Authority relating to the City of Dalton Building Authority Series 2022 revenue bond, what we just talked about, right?
That's correct. That's an integral part of the bond resolution. It's the next 2 contracts implement what Mr. Woodward was indicating.
Your motion on that?
Move.
By Mr. Mock, second by Mr. Farrell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and Mr. Goodlett once again recused himself. Number 8, intergovernmental contract between the City of Dalton Board of Education relating to the City of Dalton Building Authority Series 2022 revenue bond in the amount of 15.9. There a motion on that? Motion by Ms. Sams,
Second.
there's a second. Second by Mr. Fair. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Once again, no. Mr. Goodlett recused himself. Thank y'all. Oh. And number 9, professional service agreement with Goodwin Mills K Wood for Pence and Counter Street streetscape improvement. Andrew?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. This is a 2022 CIP project that received funding this year. Chad and I have been working to develop this proposal with our consultant Goodwin Mills K Wood to perform streetscape, and the scope is shown on page 139 of your packet. But it includes streetscape improvements on Kyler Street from Thornton Avenue to Hamilton Street, and on Pent Street from where they stopped years ago at Gordon Street down to Moore Street. This is the remaining scope of the original 2000 streetscape master plan. Cost of the design is $247,000. Again, it received capital improvements funding, but we also had in-kind funding from the DDDA of $50,000, $12,500 from Believe Greater Dalton, and $15,000 from Rockbridge to help fund this effort. The design will be complete by the end of the year. Hope to move to construction in the spring of 2023, assuming funding is identified.
Andrew, your motion? Motion by
moved.
Mr. Mock, second by Mr. Goodlet. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Also, it was exciting this morning to see ground being broken on the new hotel on Penn Street. Number 10, contract change order with Northwest Georgia Paving for the Heritage Point Soccer Complex. Chad?
Mayor and council. So this contract with Northwest Georgia Paving is for $37,824. This is for the removal of unsuitable soils under the proposed paving at the entrance road to the new soccer complex. That includes a replacement with graded aggregate base at the recommendation of our geotechnical engineer.
Questions?
I'm confused why it's a change or what the original.
It's unforeseen conditions on site.
Wasn't in the original
No, sir.
project. Okay. I understand.
Dirt wasn't good, that's what it was.
So the contract
Unsuitables that were encountered subsurface. Yeah.
Understand.
Dirt. Your motion on this?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Mockett, second by Mr. Fair. All in favor, say aye. Those like sign. Number 11, KRH Architects Contract Amendment Number 2 for the new Aquatic Center. Okay.
And I will say just one last comment on Chad's item. That project is still tracking under budget, even with the 2 change orders. So this particular amendment to the contract with KRH, who is our design professional, Kenneth Harless's firm, we wanted to add, and working with Caitlin to retain our pool designer, Councilman Hunsaker, which is a nationally known pool designer, to do a business operations plan. We're right in the meat of the design. So part of this scope will be for them to interview various stakeholders, including staff, including local, the swim community, to help us study the planned operational cost of the facility and the anticipated user groups. And through that study, they will be able to help us prepare a business model plan as it relates to day use fees for the aquatic center, lane rental fees, things of that nature, so that we go into this eyes wide open as it relates to expenses and revenues. The cost of this additional study is $14,750.
$23 million. I think we need to study all we can. So motion by Mr. Mock,
Second.
second by Mr. Goodlet. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those like sign. Announcement, city government offices will be closed Monday, September 5th, 2022 in observance of Labor Day. The next mayor and council meeting will be held Tuesday, September 6th, 2022.